Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the Scopes trial that took place in Dayton, Tennessee in 1925. The Scopes trial was about a gentleman named John Scopes who was a biology teacher in a high school in Ray's County, Tennessee, and he was put on trial under the accusation of evolution in the classroom to his students. The people at the time were very particular with the idea of evolution in the classroom and in general. It was mainly a battle between fundamentalists and modern beliefs. Fundamentalists being Christians who believed that the Bible was the strict rule and basis for everything, and then with the thought of scientific evidence that could possibly be linked to establish the creation of man was almost unheard of and basically blasphemy. So the defendant who defended John Scopes in the trial was a man named Clarence Darrow, and he was from the American Civil Liberties Union. And the reason for this trial was to challenge the Butler Act of Tennessee, which banned the teaching of any theory that denies the story of the divine creation of man as taught in the Bible. That once again goes back to the creationalist idea. So the defendant was Clarence Darrow, and like I said, he was from the American Civil Liberties Union. And the prosecution was Darrow's candidate that he ran against for president, who was the Democratic candidate William Jennings Bryan, who was a renowned minister for the time and his belief in creation. It is interesting the evidence that they used in the case of the Scopes trial. The evidence that was presented was the textbook from which John Scopes taught evolution. It was called A Civic Biology, that claimed that humans derive from single-cell organisms, and that also supported the theory of Darwinism proposed by Charles Darwin in the 1800s. Some interesting newspaper clippings that I discovered while researching this trial was that of, for the pro-defendant side, a lady named Miss Austin replies to the questions that the judge Ralston presented to the newspaper, and she writes to the editor of the Washington Post, where she presents this information. She answered the judge's 6 questions, and I will read from the 6th one that she chose. If the theory of evolution destroys man's faith in the integrity of the Bible and the divinity of Christ and resurrection, doesn't it thereby undermine the Christian religion? Miss Austin goes to answer this question with, no, the Christian religion will live and flourish, evolution notwithstanding, just so long as there are real Christians to carry on. By real Christians, understand I do not mean fundamentalists. Not necessarily, that is. These may be Christians too. A real Christian is one who worships God, not the Bible, or any other books, and worships Him in spirit and truth. For the prosecution, they had many ministers come to stand, such as William Jennings Bryan. They presented many ministers on the stand, and in the cross-examination of the argument, Clarence Darrow interviews Baptist minister Reverend J.P. Massengill, and his cross-examination is as follows. Did you ever preach on evolution? The minister replies with, yes, in connection with other subjects I have referred to it. Against it or for it? I am strictly for the Bible. I am talking about evolution. I am not talking about the Bible. Did you preach for or against evolution? The minister asks the judge if this is a fair question. The Judge Ralston answers yes, that he can proceed in asking that question. The Reverend goes on to say that he preached the Bible, of course, and was applauded by the courtroom. Clarence Darrow continues to ask him, why the of course? You have a very firm conviction, a very strong opinion of evolution, haven't you? Well, some points in evolution. Darrow continues to ask the minister, in proving his point, if Reverend Massengill would be a fair juror in the Scopes trial based on his convictions. The minister goes on to trying to defend his faith, but is virtually unsuccessful and presents the reader with the sense that in spite of his convictions, this would still be present in making an unbiased opinion as a juror, which the minister tries to plead for that case, but his answers prove otherwise. The outcome of the Scopes trial was interesting. It lasted for about 8 days in the hot summer of Tennessee in 1925. Unfortunately, John Scopes was found guilty and he was fined for $100, which in today's estimate is worth $1,300. The defense, Clarence Darrow, however, as much as he tried, he anticipated this outcome. And sadly, Williams Jennings Bryan, the prosecution, died shortly after, only 5 days after, to be a matter of fact, of the court's decision. The Tennessee Supreme Court upheld the statute of the Butler Act, but the Scopes trial was then eventually overturned on a technicality. The very interesting thing that I found was that the Butler Act against evolution would not be repealed by the legislature of Tennessee until the year 1967. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I hope everybody has a great week.